Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. And in today's video I am going to discuss about how to create a simple page in a PDF file. In our last video we have seen how to create a PDF file that opens in a file reader, at least recognized by a file reader as a PDF file. So in today's video I am going to show how to create a page in PDF file. So the starting point of the to create a page is to understand the structure of a PDF document body. So the starting point of a PDF document body is always the document catalog, and the document catalog has a reference to a collection of page called pages. So the document catalog links to the pages, and the pages has links to all other pages in the collection. So there could be a lot of other pages objects, and which has a reference to their own collection of pages, and that's how it works. So the starting point of a PDF body is always the document catalog, and the document catalog links to other important objects for the PDFs. So in this video let's just create a simple PDF file with a single page, and rest of the complicated stuff will come later in this tutorial series. So let's first load the PDF file. So we have a example PDF called a.pdf, which I have loaded as test PDF, and I have also split the binary code with respect to line fed. So and I have stored the result in test PDF n. So the result looks like that. So we have the data from a.pdf. So the insides of a.pdf looks like that. So what we are targeting is the root, which is referred as object with ID 22. Okay, so it is mentioned inside the trailer part of the PDF, and let's take a look at this catalog object which has ID 22. So the catalog object refers to the pages object in this section. The pages object has an ID of 1. So let's take a look at this one, the object with ID of 1. So this is the pages object which refers to all other pages, means this pages object will refer to all other pages in this collectible. So this kids portion actually holds the list of pages. So as we only have a single page in this PDF, so it is only showing a single reference object. So the reference ID is 2, and the count is 1. Count is 1 because the page number of page, total number of pages is 1. So that's why the count is 1. And we have to mention that the type, and the type is pages, otherwise it will not be recognized as pages object, means the collection of page. So let's check the ID 2 object with ID 2. If I search at the top, I think I will find the object with ID 2. So we have found the object with ID 2, and this is the page object. So it contains the data that is required to load page number 1. So the first part of the dictionary is as expected, type page. It is not type pages, but instead type page. So it's this page 1, and it has mentioned that the parent is ID 1 R, which means this one, the pages that holds all the page is called the parent, so it refers backward as the parent. And we have the media box, which actually tells the PDF about the size of the page, means whether it is A4 size or A3 size or whatever, it is mentioned as a data in this form. So the 0 and 0 are actually the top and left portion of the document, the top starting and the left starting points of the page, and these one are the ending XY coordinate of the page. So the values are in pixels, you can say. So I'll talk about this later. Just let's look at the structure structure of the page object. So another important part of the page object is the contents, which describes what is written inside the PDF page. So it's a very important portion of the PDF, and the resource is also important if the content is a text or something, because the fonts that's required to write the content, the text content, is located at this resource object. So let's check out the content object which is used by this page with ID 4. So if I just search a bit, there we have the object with ID 4, which is actually a stream data with a length of, again referred with object ID 5, this one. So a length of 208, and it has used a filter flat decode, which means this stream data is actually compressed, and the compression algorithm used is actually flat decode. So the stream starts from here to this portion. So I think most probably this is an image stream data, and the length of the whole encoded data is 208 bytes. So that's how the pages are structured. So let's move on to our next goal, which is to create that kind of file. So in our last video we have already created a simple PDF by using this code. So let me copy it out, copy our previous code in this current code, and we have to modify, obviously we have to modify the code a bit. So let's start structuring the whole thing. So what we have is the head portion. So let's use function to do all those stuff, so it would be more organized. So let's create a function called create header, and it will return this byte and encoded string, and then let's also create another function called create body, which would return this binary code. And then let's create another function called create xref, which would return the x reference portion. Okay, let's keep it blank to make it easy. And what do we have? We have trailer. Create trailer and return. For now, just let's keep it blank, and let's create another function called create PDF, and that's all. Let's call it create PDF, and inside this function we'll write all those codes. And instead of writing it directly, we would return the PDF binary string. So in the next cell, we would use that PDF function to create a file with the name out.pdf. So that way we can also analyze the file if we just use another like out PDF, and then if we create like that, then we can also analyze our out PDF file separately. This will help us in debugging the file if there is some error. So that's how it's helpful to separate the whole thing. So what do we have here is we need the trailer, but so let me just copy it out. That's the trailer, and the cross reference, let me copy the whole thing, and the starting position of the xref and the close, and I think that's almost everything we have. So let's start it with a PDF file, which will get the header part from this function create header. So the next portion is the body, so let me write it out. Create body, and that's the body, and the next one is the cross reference. Now the cross reference, the start, okay, that's good. The cross reference uses this function, and the trailer uses this function, and pretty much it. Now instead of writing this dummy code, we will actually create cross references. So we'll need some references to the objects, because otherwise how can we refer them backwards? So for that reason we are going to return something extras from this create body section. So the body will hold all those objects that will be referred by the xref function. So it is mandatory to hold those data. So let's create a list which stores the object position, which would be stored in this create xref, and it will take those object position list, and then it will enter all those data from there. So we'll have another thing called the let's call it body. Let me just grab this one, and we'll return two things. We'll return body, and we'll also return object positions. So I think I have to make it separate, body comma object position. So I just have to use this one, create body, and the body would be there, and the object position should be called in this create xref, like that. So this position actually I think I'll also need another argument, another parameter, which is offset, and that offset is actually the length of PDF, because otherwise the position will not be accurate, because there are some binary code before the body, so that index has to append. So the first object will always have the offset value in the cross reference table. So let me do one thing. Let me append the list with offset, because this is the first object, so we need to append the offset. And let's create start xref. Let's call it xref, it will be simple. And this is the number of objects, so instead of hard coding it, let's just calculate the length and put it there. The length of obj pose will have the total number of objects. So this one solves this portion, and now we'll have a for loop for I in obj pose, and then we'll add this one. Actually this is the first line, so it should be there. It is the object with id 0, so I think I made a mistake by making it there, so it should be there. It's the first object. So let's count the number of zeros in there. So there are like 10 there are 10 placeholders for the digit, so it has to be at least 10. So I have to make the int to string conversion with a placeholder with 0. It means that the 0 has to be placed there. So let's do one thing. Let's create another variable called pause, and then let's grab the value as string, and then we'll calculate the length of the post by using the alien function, and as there are like 10 zeros, so we'll calculate how many zeros we need just with this formula, 10 minus the length. So if there are like a single one, we need 9 zeros. So that's how it will be calculated. So we'll use another Python function like if there are a single zero and we multiply it with 9, we will have 9 zeros. And if I just make it binary, so it will be binary 9 zeros. So we'll add it with the number, say 6, so it would be 6. So the total length is like 10. So the main target here is to make the total length as 10. So say for example we have an I of 56. So what do we have to do is 10 minus length of string, let's call it j, string of I, and we'll also encode it so it get converted to binary. Okay, so the length of j, so let me just show this portion of the code what happens. So there are like 8, because this is 2, this is like 2 digits, now this is 3 digits, so it will be like 7, so we need 7 zeros, so things like that. So if we just make it 0 into this one, so actually I need to use brackets, so there are like 7 zeros, and if I just add this portion to the end, okay, I need to make it bytes, add this portion to the end, so it makes sense. So if I just remove this 2, still there are like 10 digits. Let me show you. If I use length, it will show us 10. So 10 digits. Even if I make it any big number, there will still be 10 digits. See? So this is the logic that I am going to use. So we have the number there, and then we'll need something more. We need to add this portion, which is actually zeros. If you look closely to the xref table, these are zeros, 5 zeros. So I will just make it 0, and then n, and then with a space that line fit, and that's all. We have the xref table function like that, so it will take care of the xref portion. Now we need to know the position of the xref so that we can mention the position in the start xref. So we have already done that using this one, the length of PDF. So up till this much the length would be recorded, which is actually the position of the xref table. Likewise, the first object for the body would be the length of the PDF. So that's why we have used it as an offset. So anything that would be appended would be offset plus the length of the body, which is actually 0 in this case. That's why I didn't have to calculate anything here, as it is the first object. But as we need to make it more flexible, make it more dynamic, I'm going to just make it more systematic approach. So instead of just this much, I will make it more systematic by adding a proper method. So every time we add a new object in the body, we will use this one. This will copy this portion and then paste it every time. And the ID, let's track the ID. Okay, so let's make it obj ID, and let's initially make it 0. So before we are going to add it there, we'll add it by 1. And then we'll just add this number. We'll first have to convert this number to a string and then encode it. Now we have the binary string, which is actually a number. So this one will give us 1, because 0 plus 1 is 1, so there will be 1 0 obj. So this is the first object, which is type of catalog, and it will contain some pages. Let's see how the structure looks like. Again, it will contain something called pages, and it will refer to the pages object. So before we make any pages object, we cannot refer it to this one. So we have to wait till we create this catalog object. So let's make the complete the structure first. I have to type it there, pages, and then I'll mention the ID of the pages, which is not yet available. So let's create a reference beforehand, pages ID, which is none for now, and let's place the pages ID. Pages ID, let's convert it to string and then encode. Now let's check the structure. Okay, so we have this portion. Now we'll mention 0 and R, and we'll give it a line feed, and we're done. Let's make it body plus this thing. Let's give it some spacing so that it looks good, and let me comment it out. and let's create the pages object here. Pages object. So I'll just copy this portion because it is the same thing that's going to happen here. And see, now as I made it dynamic, so I don't have to change this thing, because this one, if this one is 1, this one would be 2, the ID would be 2, so I don't have to do it manually. I just created a system for it, so it works fine. Now for the pages object, the procedure would be similar because the object structure is almost the same. So let's see what's the structure of the pages. If I just move it forward, I think pages has an ID of 2. Okay, so this is the structure. First we will write the type pages, and then we will mention the kids. So let's do it. Let's mention the type pages, and then let's just create the count. And make it 0. Let's see whether it works or not, because initially let's check whether it creates a good PDF or there are some problems with this basic thing, because if I make a huge project, and debugging would be very difficult if it doesn't work. So let's see if anything is remaining. Yeah, I forgot to mention the pages ID. So pages ID would be the object ID used here. And the trailer will also have the root ID, which is actually not 1. The root is actually, the catalog object is called root in the trailer, so we need to pass the position of the catalog object. So let's call it cat object pos, which is the position of the catalog object, and we need to pass it again in this position, cat object pos. So this one would be this portion. So let's mention it here, pass it there, and we have the catalog object. And we can do one thing. Instead of doing this repeated thing, we can actually create a function called int to byte, and then we'll pass a value, int value, and return a byte. and it will be much more easier. And we have the trailer, which refers to the root, and the size. Actually the size is obtained from the OBJPOS. The number of objects present in the document is the size, so we need to also mention it. I think let's call it obj length. Okay, and we'll pass it there. I think that's all about trailer. We have the trailer, we have the xref table, and we also have the start xref accurately. I think that's all about the basic structure. Let's try creating a file. Okay, there are some errors. Okay, cannot convert into bytes. So I have not converted this portion, the length of which it was, which is in 25, this one. So let me do one thing. Let me separate the utility function and another cell. Now we have it. I think it will work fine now. Let's try again. Another issue. Okay, now that's a string. I have forgot to put the B in there, so it became string. Now I think it will work. Let's try again. Yeah, now it is showing some PDF binary code, which is like that. So there are like only two objects. The first one is of type pages with count 0, and the second one is of type catalog with pages, reference to the pages object. And we don't have the trailer. I think that's what we are missing. So I think instead of this code I will write PDF plus trailer, and then PDF plus crossref, PDF plus I think that's all. Let's try again. Okay, now we have the xref, the trailer, the root, the start xref. Everything looks fine. So let's try writing it out and see if it works. So it works. As you can see, the document contains no pages, so it doesn't have a single page, we know that. And let's create something with pages. This time let's create a blank page. Page 1, and let's create a blank page. So this is the common structure. Let's copy the whole thing. I can delete or modify it later. So let's check what the basic structure of pages looks like. So this pages start with type page, and there is %1. I think that indicate that it is page 1. So let's do that. Let call it type 1, and then in the next line, what do we have? We have something called media box, which is actually the no, before that we have parent. So we need the parent and also the child reference, so they need to be in sync, otherwise it will not work properly. So how do you know about the parent, when the parent is going to be? Because even the pages object have a reference to the kids, so it's like cross connected. I can have the ID from there, but how can I know the ID of this one? Unless it's the exact next ID, I won't know about it. So I think it would be better to just sort it out beforehand, what objects are going to be created, and then just create the whole thing. I mean, first structure it out, the PDF structure, and then do the thing. So instead of using functions, it would be better to go with classes, because class will contain all this data of what we will have and beforehand. So for now, let's go with the function, and in the next lesson I'll go with some class PDF class objects. We'll create a PDF class objects, and it will be more reliable. So instead of using this function, let's use the one we have created beforehand. So we have completed the reference of page 1, and we can also create something called pages, I think, which contains the number of pages. So initially there is a single page, so we'll append it by 1. And we can also create, instead of that, we can also create reference IDs of list, and we can just append the ID of the page, like that. And in the count, you just call length of the pages, because pages is a list of that pages. And we can also do that same thing with that kids part, but for now let's just simplify the task. Let's simplify the task and just use single page, because in this particular example I'm just going to create a single page for now. So that's page 1. And what's left? I think that we need something called the media content. Let's see, media box, sorry, media box, we need that. That's all. We can ignore the contents and groups and it will work fine. So let's see. Okay, let's check it out. Where English syntax, I think something is missing here. Okay, the plus sign was missing, and I think remaining everything is fine. Let's try again. Pages, okay, I have forgot to convert it into bytes, this one. Now it works fine. Let's write the file and check again. Now if I just start it again, we can see we have page number 1 over there. So I can create multiple pages similarly. So let's do one thing, let's create page number 2 in the same way. Let's see whether it works or not. That's page 1. There is page 2, and instead of parents being the next one, it will be +2, this will be +1, and this thing I have to do it manually. Let's see if it works or not. I think it would be the same. 8 pages once. Okay, let's try. Let's see if it works. Okay, now we have two pages, page number 1 and page number 2. So it works like that. So thankfully it didn't give any error and it works fine. And another thing that I can do, something extras, is that inside the properties there is nothing called created, modified and everything. But if I look at the example PDF, if I open it up, I can see that there are some information about the producer and the created. So I can do all that. Let me explain how I can achieve all that. Let me explain by using that example. We have the info reference to this info object, which is located at object at 21, id 21. So this is the info object, and there we have the producer, the creation date, and the value for the producer, and the creation date. This is actually a date format, and this one is a string because it's in bracket, and everything inside a bracket is considered a string. Whether you have given another round bracket or not, it will even consider it as a string. So you can write anything inside that round brackets, and that's how we can tell the PDF reader about the producer and the creation date. So I think it would be too much lengthy for this single video. I will explain how to create an info object in my next video. So till then, stay tuned.